This bay that we've been driving around that I took video of earlier is called Dunmanus Bay. There's a bit of a ruin there. Just one wall, quite strange. Very tall wall with a window in it. Odd.
Coming up in this episode, Chip goes for a walk around the leisure centre and hotel grounds, and we go out to sea and spot some dolphins.
The place that we've just come into is called Durras. It's on the R591. We're going straight ahead, following the road for Bantry. This takes us inland across the end of a little peninsula that's called Sheep's Head, I think it was.
Yeah, Sheep's Head.
Sheep's Head Peninsula. So this is where we were looking for. Well, this has been a little gem of a find. Found it on the Park for Night app that we use to find parking places, and it said that if you pay to stay here for the night, and it's a huge flat parking area, just behind our van in that corner there's a drinking water point, black waste disposal, grey waste disposal. As I said, fairly level. Good surface, and it's behind a very nice hotel. So what it said about it was €15 a night and use all the facilities down there, and you get 10% discount in the leisure centre. So that's where we've been this afternoon. We're not staying here tonight, but they've given us a discounted rate for just using the facilities over there, and we've been in the leisure centre using, well, I've used the swimming pool, Jan hasn't, it's too cold for him, but there was a nice warm jacuzzi, a steam room and a sauna, and really good hot showers. So nice little find, and really good after sort of 3 weeks nearly on the road. Not that we don't keep clean, but it's just nice to have a really good shower, and to be able to swim was a bonus for me. So I'm just going to have a walk round these grounds with Chip. Oh, and they told us in the hotel that people come and swim in the ocean, which is just down the hill, and then they walk up to the hotel in their swimming costumes with the towels, and go in and get in the jacuzzi and then have a shower and then get changed and go home. So, balmy. So as we arrived, there was a wedding party, and they were taking some wedding photos down there. Everybody looked very nice in their posh togs. So I'm going to continue my little walk round. So this is the Westlodge Hotel. So I'm just walking away from the hotel. It's behind me up the hill. Our van's just in that corner at the moment. It's another view of the motorhome parking area. So that at the bottom there in the distance will be the ocean, or part of the sea. They've also got these little cottages that you can let if you don't want to stay in the hotel. Just walking a little further down the hill, there's a graveyard over there. Looks like they're all facing the ocean. Then we've got a yew tree lined avenue Yeah. Goes down to a pond. It looks like it might be a bit tidal, perhaps. Look at the house that's built over the bridge. Look at view in the distance. Look, Chip can walk nicely. He doesn't always pull me all over the place. We're getting better, aren't you, Chip? You're getting better. Following those people, aren't you? And the dog. Thought I could hear running water. This is on the walk back up towards the hotel. So I've come from down there. Got car parking, hotel, more car parking, more hotel. There's a wedding reception going on.
A restaurant, a bar and a cafe that if you're here in your motorhome, you're basically treated like a hotel guest, so you can use any of the hotel facilities as part of the wedding party from today. And I'll put the details on the screen as to where we are. Heading back south to go to
Baltimore.
Baltimore, that's the place.
Not the one in America.
Not American Baltimore. This is Irish Baltimore. This morning you find us in Baltimore harbour, all wrapped up and ready to go, looking for a boat called Voyager. So after having a look round, there's our little boat Voyager. That's a catamaran. So it should be fairly a stable trip today. Fair weather conditions accepted would be lovely.
It won't be absolutely flat calm like this because in this time of the year there are a number of Atlantic systems out there that keep the sea pumped up. But listen, we won't worry about that. Let's go and see what we can find. Is anybody happy to go out? Nobody wants to go back and have a large Irish breakfast? No? Okay, so we've got two boats going today, guys. We've got the Voyager. I want those of you on the Voyager to be careful as you climb across. Lorenzo's there, he'll help, and JJ's down there, he'll help also in getting down there. I want all of you to be extremely careful going down these steps. They're very steep. Hang on to the rail, please. I've fallen down them a few times, and it hurts like hell. So, do I have Adrienne? Adrienne, yes. Ah, fantastic. Super. Well, down you go. And whoever's with. Is it Adrienne or? Yeah. Never know. We would spell Adrienne.
Yeah, I'll go last.
At the end, so it's with Adrienne, or that would be two N's and an E, wouldn't it? Ah, listen, stop what we're doing. Kim and Yan. Well, yes. There you are. Perfect. Down you go. Climb across the chair. Help yourself to a life jacket if you know how they work. If not, I will be across shortly and go in. Carlo. Yep. Of course, I do beg your pardon. Italian.
Morning.
Good morning.
Excellent. Welcome. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry. One boat.
So guys, help yourself to a life jacket, guys, okay?
Guess where we are.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you are very welcome on board the Liscana Star this morning. You're very welcome on board the Voyager. We like to spend a few moments of your time talking about safety before we depart from the pier. But before I do that, I want to introduce the gentleman who's going to be looking after you on the Liscana Star this morning, Captain JJ! My name is Nick, for those of you who don't already know that, and I will be looking after you on the Voyager.
Lucky us.
Yay!
Thank you. Our trapometer? I don't know, I'm not quite sure. Lastly, but by no means least, I want to introduce the amazing Lorenzo! Lorenzo is our researcher, and he does amazing things with seawater. If you're interested in what he's doing with seawater, do ask him, because he'll be more than happy to tell you. So, safety. Very important aboard these two vessels. They're both catamarans, so they have two hulls with a hole down the middle, down which the water will rush and occasionally thump the bottom of the hull quite hard. Don't be concerned if you hear this thumping and banging noise coming from underneath the hull. It's perfectly normal operational noises for a catamaran. They are both fully licensed by the Irish Department of the Marine, and what that translates into is a very detailed safety spec. I want to take you through that now. On the forward part of the cabin of the Liscana, and on the sides of the cabin of the Voyager, you'll see two orange life rings. If anybody takes a swim during our tour, please heave them, both of those, without hitting them, and tell either JJ or myself immediately. In the extremely unlikely event that anybody should end up in the water during our tour, we would like two people to come to the rail, hold on very firmly with one hand, and physically point at the person in the water with the other hand. If your arm gets tired, change arms. But at all times keep holding on, and at all times keep pointing until we ask you to stop. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Especially if it's me. I don't mean to make light of it, guys. It's very, very frightening falling in the water offshore, even if you have got a life jacket on. It's rather nice to be pointed at by somebody on the boat, because it gives you the distinct impression we're doing something about getting you back on board. Believe it or not, there is a more important reason. We need to know where you are in relation to the boat at all times. Because if we reverse over you, we make your problem about 25,000 times worse than it already is. As part of our safety gear, we have ep15s on board, emergency position indicating radio beacons. We also have emergency DSC radios. Both of those bits of equipment will transmit our position to the authorities in the case of a dire emergency. Lastly, but by no means least, this sausage-shaped thing on the roof is a 16-man or woman life raft. We also have marine toilets on board for your comfort. They're very simple to use. If you have any questions at all about how they work, just ask. These life jackets that you're wearing, they automatically inflate if you hit the water. If, however, you found yourself in the water uninflated, you would pull down on the little red toggle that you'll find on the bottom left-hand part of your life jacket. We want you all to locate that toggle now, so you know where it is, and most importantly, what it feels like. If you were in the water uninflated, the water would be up to here. So it would be down the left-hand side, grab the toggle. Does everybody know what their toggle feels like? The toggle, madam. The toggle bottom left-hand side. That's it. You want to know what it feels like. Super. Of course, there is one surefire way you don't have to pull anybody's toggle, and that is don't fall in. So, what are we looking for today when we go out? We're looking for animals that spend 99% of their time under the water. So we look for them in the 1% of the time that they come up to feed, to breathe, to look at us, whatever else they might do. So we look for indicators which will tell us we're in the presence of these animals, so that we can slow down, turn the engines off, and see what happens. Indicators like birds flying around in the sky, diving out of the sky into the water with a big splash. Other birds flying around close to the water's surface, back and forth. Any dark shapes coming up out of the water, any fins cutting through the water, anything jumping up out of the water, or any splashes that you think look out of place on the water surface. And if you see anything like that, or anything else that you think might be interesting, we want you to do two things. Point at what you think you've seen and shout really loudly so that we can all hear you. And keep pointing in the direction in which you think you saw something, because I can guarantee the rest of us will all be looking in the wrong direction. We'll turn around. If it does it again, we'll all get to see it. Don't be self-conscious about pointing at bits of wood or patches of old seaweed. It's been done 1,000 times before by Lorenzo. Sorry, mate. Have to think I come.
And we're off. Sorry, I had to cut the safety briefing short because the memory card on the camera said full, just at the wrong moment.
Tell you a little bit about the local area that I think you might find interesting. This large white obelisk that you see up here on the top of the cliff over there is the Baltimore Beacon, known locally as Lot's Wife. It's a navigational day mark. It doesn't have a light on it. It was erected back in the days when Baltimore became a very important, albeit very small, trading port along the south coast of Ireland. And you'll notice how narrow the entrance is to Baltimore. When you're out at sea looking back in, it's really difficult to see the entrance. It's the way this land lies around here. We're talking about the days of sail, of course. Vessels would come down the coast looking for Baltimore, miss it, go through the Gasconan Sound, which you'll see later, and get caught up amongst the islands of Roaring Water Bay, and frequently get wrecked. This made a huge difference. Vessels could see they were off Baltimore, tack in plenty of time, and make the harbour. These two islands up here at the top of the bay, they don't look like islands, but they are. The one on the right is Wingaroga, the one on the left is Spanish Island. Huge number of references to Spain around here. That little ruined tower castle up there is known as Spain Tower. There's a Spain Point just round the corner. Even this part of Baltimore is often referred to as Spain, and it all relates back, of course, to 1601 and the Battle of Kinsale, when Spain was an ally of Ireland and Spanish troops were garrisoned as far down as Baltimore from Kinsale. This piece of land just across the way over here looks a bit like the mainland. It's not. It's the second most populated island of Roaring Water Bay, Shirkin Island. And if you look up there behind the pier, you can see the ruins of the 15th century Cistercian Shirkin Island Priory. Very important religious site in these parts for many hundreds of years. And in 1972, the Priory featured in a film called Catholics. It was about a group of priests on an island who wanted to continue practicing Mass in Latin. The Pope wanted them to change to English, so he sent his envoy over to sort them out. And that's the story of the film. Very good it is too, if you ever get a chance to see it. But the young actor who played the part of that envoy was a young American actor who'd done one film and shown a lot of promise. Martin Sheen. We all know Martin Sheen? That's it, Brad Pitt, you'd know, wouldn't you? You know Martin Sheen. Most people know Martin Sheen. Somebody does.
Feel a bit the same. All them Irish potatoes.
Yeah.
power out of the harbour. You can just make out in the distance over there the Fastnet Rock. It's just before Mizzen Head, which is the furthest southerly point of Ireland, as we know.
Yeah, I think that's already going. Short feet common dolphin. Yeah. Short feet. See the further out there, you can see a mother and calf. Yeah. They all seem to be travelling in that direction, but they're very spread out. There's quite a few of them, but they're very spread out.
Yeah.
Here to over here. Now we may have only seen maybe 10, but it's part of the group, you know, they're much bigger. They always say that for every one that you see on the surface, there are at least 3 under the surface. So that gives you a sort of rough idea.
Jan having a little sit down. Feels like his legs have done a proper workout trying to stand up on here. So Baltimore Harbour's in the distance, just see the white beacon. It's amazing how that is easy to see. And scanning over that way, got a Mizzen Head where we were a couple of days ago. You can just see the control tower on the top where the Lusitania Museum is, and the Fastnet Rock glimpsed on the horizon. The Fastnet Rock is a little closer to us than it was. Still seems a long way away. The other boat is pitching and rolling out there. I don't know if you can see it on here. We'll probably look like we're doing exactly the same. There's a bit more swell here than we have before. But it's not too unpleasant. I'm pretty sure that up there is Mizzen Head, which is where we were a few nights ago. That looks like the old tower that we were parked in front of to the right, and the signal tower a bit to the left, which was further up the hill. And this area to the left, to the end, is where the golf course is. That's inaccessible unless you play golf. And I remember, I guess. Pretty spectacular place to play golf. Still don't think you can see it on the camera, but it's got bigger to the naked eye than Fastnet Rock. The other boat on this trip is over there somewhere. I can see it, but I can't see it through the camera.
This part of Water Bay is sometimes known as Long Island Bay because there is a little island over the other side called Long Island. This piece of land, this little village over here is the little village of Schull, S-C-H-U-L-L, nestling under Mount Gabriel over there. And this piece of land running down here into the southwest is the first of the peninsulas of Ireland that stick down. The Teddy Bear's Toes, as they're known as. And the first one, as you go west, go north up the west coast, is the Mizzen Peninsula. That's this one here running down into the distance. And if you look in the distance there, you can see the Brow Head, which is where Marconi sent his first transatlantic radio message. You can't, yes you can just see it. If you look across there, you can just see a shadow against the cloud behind that ridge. That's Hungry Hill on the Bearer Peninsula. So we're actually looking across three of the peninsulas there, across the Mizzen, across the Sheep's Head and onto the Bearer. Between the Mizzen and the Sheep's Head, of course, is Dunmanus Bay. Between the Sheep's Head and the Bearer is Bantry Bay. This large lump of rock out here, somebody said to me the other day, what's that chimney doing on it? It is, of course, one of the top 10 most famous lighthouses in the world. It's the Fastnet Rock and Lighthouse. Famous because it gives its name to the sea area for the shipping forecast. We're in it now, Fastnet. It also gives its name to a yacht race which comes up from the south coast of England, goes around the rock and finishes back in Cherbourg. And some of you may have read about the 1979 race, which ended in abject disaster when the lads were caught out here in one of the worst storms in modern yachting history, and 15 people lost their lives, 14 of them quite unnecessarily. This little ruined tower castle you see here, it's, oh, I should just say, the Irish name for the Fastnet Rock is Carrigena, which means lonely rock. You can see why, can't you? The Irish name for this little fella is Dunanor, the Golden Fort, or Fort of Gold. Nobody really knows why it's called that. Some people think it's because the old pirate O'Driscoll kept his treasure there. Others think it's because the setting sun, as he goes down over this, tends to illuminate the walls. But either way, it's sitting on the oldest recorded religious site in Ireland. And before your man O'Driscoll knocked the church down, sitting on there, built himself that wee castle. Legend has it that St. Cian threw himself off the high cliff at the back there in a fit of religious ecstasy, believing that the Lord would intervene and prevent him from dashing his brains out on the rocks below. As you can imagine, well, pretty straightforward sausage off the rocks and buried him up on the hill. But as I always say, immortality comes at a price, and here we are, 1,500 years later, still talking about it.
Skim after our boat trip, just bringing the van round. Hello, Chip. Hello, my boy. No.
Coming up next week, we visit Glengarriff for a Murphy's for breakfast. Chip waits around as we call in at Molly Gallivan's traditional farm. We visit Kenmare and Sneem as we start the Ring of Kerry and sleep on a pier.